Hey folks, welcome to another edition of Fitness Friday Posi-TIPS with Rachelle. Folks, it is great to be back. I have missed you. I was in Louisiana from April 11th through the 13th of May. So I'm back here, back in town, back in the action. And this episode is going to be short. I typically have my shorter episodes either downstairs in Rachelle's Home Fitness Center or outside somewhere. But I just want to drop this quick episode in here today just to highlight just a few thoughts on by recapping my 27th fitness anniversary, which I celebrated on Monday, May 17th. And so, but I have to kick this off. As I mentioned, I was in Louisiana and I was in my parents' shed organizing, and look what I found. You'll never believe it. I put a battery in it and it still worked. Still works. Still works. And so you're like, well, Rochelle, what is this? Well, let me explain to you. So you can see here in the top right, it says USAF MWR. And so what that stands for is United States Air Force, Morale, Welfare, and Recreation. And this is a little bitty card-sized calendar, and it says Keesler Technical Training Center, NWR, and it's a mini calendar from 1989. And on the back, you can see here it says USAF, so United States Air Force, MWR, Morale, Welfare, and Recreation, doing good things for people. And why I got so excited when I came across this and a bin organizer was because this used to sit on my dad's desk. So back in the days, in this case, he's got a calendar here, a mini calendar from 1989 at Keesler Air Force Base. That's actually, my dad left the Navy, then worked a few jobs. We ended up in Keesler Air Force Base, Mississippi. So that was his first civil service job, working for the government. And he worked in morale, welfare, and recreation. So that's where a lot of activities, fitness centers, those are all housed under the morale or NWR function on military bases. So I saw this and I was like, oh no, this used to sit on my dad's desk. And folks, this right here was at the heart. This is where my fitness journey started. Truly, you'll go back to childhood. Keesler Air Force Base, Biloxi, Mississippi. So I was so excited, and I got back to town and I put a AA battery in it. And can you believe it still works? It still works. Now, as you can see here, this is a little bit rusty, but oh well, it's just gonna have to remain that way. And so I'm actually going to put this down in Rachelle's Home Fitness Center. But folks, you have no idea how happy this made me. We just brought back so many wonderful childhood memories of how I learned. Truly, as a child, as the child of Oscar Smith Jr., daughter of Oscar and Willette Smith, and but my dad, for those who don't know, got his bachelor's degree in physical education from Mississippi State University. So had that, growing up as a child, dad had that background. And so this meant so much to me because I was like, as a child, this is, truly, I always officially say my fitness journey started on May 17, 1994, but, in childhood, this is truly where the foundation was laid right there at Keesler Air Force Base. So folks, I just had to kick off with this. It just makes me smile every time I see it, every time I look at it. But from a fitness industry perspective, all the fitness centers, military installations, those are housed within morale, welfare, and recreation. So, like for example, when my family moved to Korea, and my dad was, worked at the Collier Field House, the former Collier Field House on Yongsan Army Headquarters, 8th Army, worked at the gym. And that, of course, his position then, he was a sports director, but did all types of functions within the gym. But that also was housed in morale, welfare, and recreation. So fitness centers, military and civilian standpoint, those affiliated with military installations, that's where it's housed. So just had to kick off with that. So now back to May 17th, 2021. So I spent it where I spent last year's. The same place as last year, Rachelle's Home Fitness Center. As it happened, of course, occurred on a Monday. The 17th this year, of course, fell on a Monday. And I work out at Rachelle's Home Fitness Center on Monday. So kept it real, kept it authentic, did what I always do, stayed here at Rachelle's Home Fitness Center and had a wonderful workout. But so folks, I just want to spend a few minutes reflecting on the last 13 months or so, 13 months, 14 months. It's just how much things have changed. I mean, just how, and this is something I always say, and this is just a fundamental belief of mine, is just being open to things in life, being open to a different path, being open to a different way of doing things. And as you all saw in real time, the coronavirus pandemic, those gyms closed last year. I mean, that is, and people hate to hear me talk about adversity. I know that, because they're like, Rachelle, you're always so positive, and even in adversity, you're sitting there smiling. But there's a reason for that, because I believe some of the greatest lessons we learn in life happen in the valleys of adversity. We are tested, we are tried. Adversity comes to all of us. Now, it may show up in different forms, but it comes to all of us. And so I always look at it as an opportunity to learn, to grow, develop. And I know with that pandemic, particularly when the gyms closed, that forced me to go in a whole different direction. And so now I have a hybrid workout situation now that's been going on since I joined, well, truly Edge Fitness, because so when the gyms closed on the 17th of March of 2020, keep in mind, I did not step foot into another gym, or my next gym, which was Edge Fitness. And so I joined that gym on the 28th of January. And so I hadn't stepped foot in a gym in that entire time. Now, yes, gyms were closed for several months. And for those who don't know, I kind of detailed this last fall. But so gyms reopened. I was actually in Louisiana in September when the gyms reopened, but I'd already made the decision that I was going to cancel my Planet Fitness membership. And at the beginning of 2020, I had my plan. I talked about this. I had my plan. I was going to go from or downgrade my Black Card membership with Planet to a White Card membership, just to have one club, my Commerce Michigan club. And then I was going to have a second gym, because returning to some of my favorite machines. I had narrowed it down to 3 options. So that was my plan. Was going to keep my Planet, just, as an honorary, just kind of an honorary thing. Because, hey, I learned a lot there, had some good experiences. And so that was my plan. But then the coronavirus happened, and the gyms were closed. And then it just put me in a whole different frame of mind. And so this my hybrid workout situation, which has been going on for a long time. And I just wanted to show you just how last year, I remember initially I was like, oh no, gotta work out at home. Because keep in mind, all those years, until Saturday, March 21st, 2020, that was my first time ever working out at home. But I knew it was either that or nothing. Because my plan B of power walking at 12 Oaks Mall here in Novi-Michigan fell through when those malls were closed as well. And so I was really I had to back into a corner. I had to make a decision. What am I going to do here? Because at the end of the day, doing nothing was not an option. And so in the last year, how much my mindset has changed so much. I just open-heartedly embraced working out at home. I grew to really like and enjoy working out at home. And if someone would have told me that a few years ago, or even January 1st of 2020 before COVID hit, I would not have believed it. But folks, reality is reality, and that is the beauty of adversity, because I never would have chosen that option on my own. It was all about gyms. I grew up in gyms. That was what I knew. That was where my fitness journey was housed. And oh, no. The hybrid model is working so well for me. It's working so well for me. I mean, and for the next 27 years, that is exactly what I'm going to be doing, this hybrid model setup. But I wanted to quickly have a little show and tell, as I have made some capital improvements here, some capital investments in Rachelle's Home Fitness Center. So we just got some new things. And so I have several different jump ropes. So I'm very particular about my jump ropes. But anyway, replacing my Gold's Gym jump rope, as you see here, with a jump rope that I actually got on Amazon. I'm purposefully leaving all of these items. I've left them in the plastic wrapping because I'm not trying, this isn't a promotional type of situation. I'm not promoting these items, promoting the brands, promoting the manufacturers, none of that. This is just to show you. I'm upgrading some of my own equipment. So got a jump rope, and I'll just let you in on a secret. For those of you that actually, you have to know me pretty well to know that actually, contrary to popular belief, my favorite color is red, not purple. You'd have to know me pretty well to know that. But purple it's easy to find purple stuff. It's not as easy to find red stuff, but actually red is actually my favorite color in professional situations. I wear red. You'll notice me in red, certainly a lot more. And so, boxing exercise bands, gotta love it. So excited to think about that. We of course with the hand of it, and about the bands themselves, various colors. And notice that no purple, they do have red. And lastly, got an exercise mat here for Rachelle's Home Fitness Center. And so they were out of stock in red when I made this purchase. So I'm so excited. And so made a few upgrades here to Rachelle's Home Fitness Center. So when we think about the evolution of my thinking to go from I'm never working out at home to all of a sudden, this has been wonderful. This has been just a wonderful setup for me. The hybrid setup, gym and home-based fitness has been fantastic. It is just in terms of overall in the mornings, I'm not as rushed, and I don't have to worry about, let me just tell you, and I know I shared this on an episode when I was still at Powerhouse, so it's been a few years. I have had some run-ins with the law regarding my fitness. And what I mean by that is I've been pulled over on the way home multiple times here in the state of Michigan on my way home from the gym. Rushing home from the gym, I've gotten pulled over. Now it hasn't happened since, about 2017 was the last year it happened. I was still at Powerhouse when that happened. And so, but in Dearborn, I lived in Dearborn, Michigan, and so my workout, I was at the Ford Community Performing Arts Center. So it's a community-based fitness center, and they have a lot of different community events and all of that housed within that large facility. But next to it, folks, is the Dearborn Police Department. But there would be times where I'd be so pressed and rushed for time in the mornings because I'd work out, then I'd have to go home, take a shower, and in many cases, particularly in Dearborn, hit my sales territory by a certain time. And so had gotten pulled over, had been pulled over, and it's so interesting because, Powerhouse, roughly about a mile from, I live about a mile from Powerhouse. Roughly when I lived in Dearborn, I lived in the Lincoln and Fairlane apartments for those who live here in Metro Detroit, which is right next to the old Hyatt, less than a mile, or at least plus or minus a mile, but probably about a mile from the Dearborn Police Department and the Ford Community Performing Arts Center. So both cases very close to my gyms at the time. And so rushed in the morning, rushing home, had to get a shower, change, I'll do all that kind of stuff and head out, and pulled over multiple times. And the poor officers would look at me and look at my license and realize how close it was. Like, Miss Smith, you seem to be in a hurry this morning. And I just look back now, and that is the funniest thing to me now. That is, and just for the record, let the record show, they never gave me a ticket. They were very merciful, and they understood my plight. Got a good workout in, was rushed on my way home, and then had to go to another place after my workout. And so, but that's not an issue for me in the morning. Anymore, certainly it's just been great to do that split where I'm 3 days at the gym and 3 days at home. It's just wonderful. I just cannot tell you. And so that is the beauty of adversity, where we can look back in many cases and say, man, that time of hardship, of adversity, where I faced a number of obstacles. Number one, I had to make a decision. Am I going to quit, or am I going to continue and persevere despite the adversity, despite the hardships? Because that's truly where we find out what we're made of, okay? My commitment to fitness, like here I am on Fitness Fridays. Now imagine if I just would have said, oh no, gyms are closed. What am I going to do? I guess I'm just going to have to sit at home. Absolutely not. See, my own commitment to fitness, and particularly fitness leadership, vis-a-vis Fitness Fridays, was tested. So you all saw it play out in real time. I'm very authentic. I'm going to give you the real deal here. And so that's what it's been. It has been a remarkable turn of events. I just cannot emphasize what a wonderful, Wonderful decision. And the last thing I want to mention regarding capital improvements here at Rachelle's Home Fitness Center is, oh, I still remember this. It had to be maybe 3 or 4 weeks after, gyms were closed. So at this point, gotten to my groove of working out at home. And then my mom asked me, do you want an elliptical or a treadmill? And at the time, I was like, no. And it's so funny because in my mind, I was thinking, okay, gyms are going to be opening up again soon, whatever. But anyway, we see how long, that process for me and when I ultimately stepped foot in a gym again, in a formal gym. Now, when 3 or 4 times when I was on the road, driving from here to Louisiana, yes, that I work out in the fitness room at the Hampton Inn, absolutely. And a wonderful experience there, but I'm talking about a formal gym. So how long? It was months before I ultimately stepped foot in another gym again. So I was like, oh no, gyms are going to be opening again soon. We see how long that took. And so I'm happy to report, and I just couldn't believe it myself, but long story short, when I was in Louisiana, ordered an elliptical, and so I got back on the 13th, and so on the 15th of May at 4 p.m., and I ordered it from Amazon. I love Amazon. Their customer service policies, and they just no nonsense, warranties and all that kind of stuff. So actually that's why I chose Amazon versus, others. And so the gentleman from Amazon Home Services showed up at my house on Saturday, 15th, 4 p.m. to assemble my elliptical. And I remember just Saturday night, I was sitting on the couch looking at it like, man, this is just, I cannot believe. Like I went from just, no, I don't know, no, I don't want anything, and no formal machines. Now again, I've got all this other stuff that I bought certainly in the last year. I was like, no machines, we'll be good to go. And so now Rachelle's Home Fitness Center has an elliptical. And so I was sitting there just kind of marveling, like, wow, how my own mindset has changed in the last year. Incredible. Even I'm shocked and surprised myself. I mean, just to tell you like it is, I just was marveling, like, I cannot believe there's a time where I've been like, there's no way this is happening. There's going to be no fitness machines in my house. And so naturally, now that I have that machine, you know how human nature is. And so I'm sitting here thinking, well, maybe I'll get a recumbent bike, and maybe I'll get a rower, and different things like that. So, but just had to share that with you, And so when I recognize, particularly for those fitness leaders who are watching this, is probably in the last year and kind of watching me in this progression, it's probably been incredibly threatening. But if I'm going to tell you the truth. There's two objectives here for Rachelle on Fitness Fridays: is tell the truth and to help people. So I'm laying it all out in terms of what I've done. But I think that while you may be threatened and thinking, oh no, and I'm sure that some people's initial reaction was, if gym lover Rachelle is now all of a sudden loving working out at home, just oh no, and I'm sure people kind of saw that and have heard that thinking like, oh no. What about the people who don't have such a positive opinion and experiences with past gyms? And I would argue there's really no threat in my particular instance. So as I've alluded to it a number of times, Edge Fitness, okay? A very powerful lesson that I've learned from Edge Fitness. And I've shared it probably in indirect ways and just put it out there. Hopefully, you've gotten the message. But if not, I'm just going to directly tell you. I think what Edge has done extremely well, and I've talked about this before, but it's just going to be very direct. But several things, but just only have time for a couple. Number one, consistent communication. And so there's so much in life, from a fitness leadership perspective, those who own or run facilities, so much you can't control, particularly since COVID hit. But the ability to consistently communicate with members is crucial. All right, so I'm just a communicator by nature. I like to keep people informed. I don't like to surprise people. So that's just, number one, that's just a personal pet peeve of mine that Edge does extremely well. So that's just kind of a natural thing where I'm going to say, oh, their communication is wonderful, absolutely wonderful. But number two, engagement. And this is huge because what ultimately has been one of the biggest threats that again, my SWOT analysis, see, I don't have it with me today, but it'll be back next week when I talk about fitness trends. When we think about the threat that the coronavirus has posed to entities such as churches, where all of a sudden churches were closed, and or pastors and people like that had to make the decision, ministerial staffs, are we going to have services online? How are we going to navigate this and not lose members? All right, why? Because that is an engagement issue. When people get disengaged, even in the workplace, I've talked about this on a number of HR-oriented Fitness Friday episodes. Okay, from a leadership perspective, you have disengaged employees. It's rough. All right, it's rough. All right, and so from fitness facility perspective, facilities were closed and varying for various times frames depending on what part of the country and how bad the COVID outbreaks were in certain areas. And so again, a huge engagement issue, because when people become disengaged, they'll stop shopping in a store, they'll want to cancel their gym membership, they will want to leave, step on a few toes here, I'm telling the truth, want to leave a relationship. All right, so this engagement piece is huge, and that's truly been one of the probably one of the biggest, or the $64,000 question is, how do we keep people engaged? Okay, and so from my perspective, based on my own journey, my own history, what I've been through, and regarding my fitness journey being exclusively gym oriented. It's all about gyms for me for almost 26 years till those gyms closed. All right, then all of a sudden they were closed, and so okay, I got to start working out at home. But I would have assumed, this is just thinking back to just my own mindsets and how I would have thought. Historically, I would have said, okay, Rachelle Smith, in order to be engaged with a gym, needs to be inside that gym on a regular basis. All right, that was my thinking. But Edge has taught me a very powerful lesson. And that lesson being, I have not needed to step foot inside the building to remain engaged. Okay, and so there's two dimensions where this occurred. Last March, when I was still a member of Planet, with all due respect, still a member of Planet, all right, and tuned in to Greg DiNatale's presentation, the webinar on protein performance. He did a wonderful job. But so that another thing, I'm a teacher, I'm a trainer, I'm a education buff. If you want to get my attention, teach me something. You want to keep my attention, keep teaching me something. And so one of the strengths, as I alluded to on an earlier Fitness Friday this year, was a strength of Edge, was education. All right. So from an engagement standpoint, boom, that got my attention. That got me engaged, and that kept me engaged. When the clubs were closed, and the weekly newsletter would come in early Sunday mornings. It kept my attention month after month after month after month after month. So then when I fast forward, so keep in mind, got back from Louisiana, mid-January this year from the holidays, joined on the 28th of January. So this was another test. So back in Louisiana from April 11th to May 13th. So once again, I did not step foot inside Edge Fitness Club, Farmington Hills, and I remain highly engaged. Why? Because the Sunday newsletters that come early Sunday morning and the Thursday morning blogs kept me focused, kept me engaged, and I was actually in a different state without an Edge Fitness Clubs, and my mind was still on Edge Fitness. All right, whether I'm power walking, one morning I was power walking at AC Steer Park on Uri Drive in Shreveport. Thursday morning, I'm reading a blog about a member in a different state. She was in the Northeast, in a different state, who has an autistic son. All right, they're talking about that journey and her sons, and the trials and tribulations that they've overcome, and how fitness has been a big part of that. And so I was reading that while power walking. All right, so here I am on my phone reading that. All right, engaged. All right, why I'm at the Dallas-Fort Worth airport on my way back to Detroit, sitting midway between terminals gate C4 and C3, and I'm waiting at the gate. So it's a little bit after 8 a.m. Central Time, and I'm on my phone reading a blog post entitled Spruce Up Your Work Fits, right? Talking about your fitness gear, all of that type of thing. I'm very big on that kind of stuff. So, but that way we get consistent communication and education and relevant information. All right, so we're all different. All of your members are different. So I'm talking about how, Edge, their strength and their focus on education, and I read that stuff. And I told you this a few weeks ago, I think, as I mentioned this. As I read that stuff, this is year 1 of my fitness journey, not year 27. All right, so but I'm a self-actualizer, going back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, talked about that earlier this year, but I'm a self-actualizer. So what Edge Fitness has done for me is help me to be the best I can be from a fitness standpoint, in terms of continually feeding my mind. Yes, I've got my gym, wonderful breadth of equipment. Love it. All right, but in the instances where I can't be in the building, such as I'm working out here at Rachelle's Home Fitness Center, or I'm in a different state, to be able to keep me engaged. All right, because that right there, folks, is membership retention. How can you keep people engaged? We all have different needs. So for me, I'm a self-actualizer. So I'm not, and we talked about this, the social needs of love and belonging. That's another big one of Maslow's hierarchy. So you've got a lot of people when gyms were closed saying, oh no, I miss seeing my peeps. I miss being in my class. I miss, there's people that need that. I have friends at the gym and I want to stand around and talk to them for a while, or me and this lady I met, we ride next to each other on machines. I mean, people say all this, people just, when they have that friendship situation and just those social belongings, which is natural, which is human. All right, those are the people. How can you keep those folks who may be, maybe afraid to even come back in gyms now, or whatever the case may be, if they've struggled to feel connected or like they belong when that situation was challenged, when gyms were closed, or when there were certain requirements that had to be adhered to. That's the huge question gyms have faced. That has been truly the universal question gyms have faced, because it's, we had a lot of gyms, thousands of gyms across the country that permanently closed. We had some that filed for bankruptcy, and just so many different, some that have filed for bankruptcy and emerged from bankruptcy. We had some class action lawsuits filed. Talked about that last summer over billing situations. And so it's just been a huge issue. The engagement issue, just knowing where people are and how can you meet those needs. How can your facility or facilities meet those needs? All right, like I said, we're all different. If you have a lower, again, going back to if you have a lower price point for your memberships. Okay, going back to the basic needs of food, water, and shelter. We had a lot of people that have lost jobs this year, many people being financially devastated. And so facilities that have a lower price point can certainly have an appeal of, hey, your fitness is important, health and wellness is important, and we have a gym membership at this particular price point. It's very affordable. We know times are tough. All right, so we all have various needs. But so an individual in that situation, trying to sell a person, may have lost their job and struggling financially, trying to sell them a very expensive membership of $100 a month, $150 a month may not be feasible. All right, but for those that have lower price points, so it's just a matter of knowing, and I talked about this during my sales series, which I'm going to be coming back with another 4 or 5 episodes of sales after next week's episode on fitness trends. So much has happened. I've got to drop next week's episode to discuss fitness trends, folks, but just wanted to share that with you. Share my own key learning of the power of engagement. Is how can you keep people engaged? All right, I don't have an Instagram account. I don't have a personal Facebook page. I'm not on Twitter. All right, so there are people, again, I'm not just more of a nonconformist by nature, but there are a lot of people who are on those. social media, spend a lot of time there, and you will find those people and they will engage with you there, and they'll love it and it'll be great. All right, but then if you got a segment of the population that is just like me, that may not be on all of that social media, but they'll diligently open up a newsletter that you send. Because that's truly, how Edge, those weekly blogs and the weekly newsletters is how Edge has kept me engaged. So I wanted to share that with you. So there's people that are, oh goodness, people working out at home. Yes, is it a big threat? Hasn't been a big threat. Have you had a number of people canceling memberships? Absolutely. Realizing, oh, home fitness is for me. I don't ever want to join the gym again, or I'm canceling and I'm just never stepping foot in there again. Is that me? No. Why? Because this is a nice balance for me. But as I alluded to last year, I recognized, after I canceled my gym membership and I had no gym membership for a few months, and even that is kind of just surprising to me now that I look back at it. Had to make a decision like, okay, the next gym that I belong to is going to have to bring it. Because I just recognized that being reunited with my favorite machines or just things like that was just so important. It's just so important. And before I close with a little bit of inspiration from a book I recently read, I've got to share this with you in the spirit of transparency. So this quick story here is an example of the old notion of we always want what we can't have. So you all heard me time after time after time, when I was a member of Planet, talk about pre-core EFX, how I miss pre-core EFX, and I love pre-core EFX. Yada yada, and that's true. I did it was for the years 2000 to 2017. That was my favorite cardio machine. Yada yada yada. Because I cross-trained and I used different machines, but pre-core EFX. When I can't wait to be reunited with my pre-core EFX. And so, Edge Fitness has a pre-core EFX, and so I just have to laugh at myself. Just have to throw myself under the bus and say, now I thought to myself, and I'm sure many of you would have said, oh yeah, boy, when she gets reunited with that machine, she's going to be constantly on it. And I have to just tell you, I have rarely been on that machine since I've been a member of Edge Fitness. Because again, once I had access to it, I like, who cares, But once again, it's part of the reason why I say that is because now I have such a strong breadth of cardio equipment, and I can be challenged. All right, and so that's part of the reason why it's kind of like, well, who cares? And so when I was in Louisiana, so I was watching a Lifetime movie called Beware of the Midwife with my mother. And so that is a huge pastime. For those of you, that is a big Southern pastime. Just watching Lifetime movies, that is just huge. And so, particularly with sisters will watch it, or best friends, or whatever. It's just very, very popular. So that's a big pastime for my mother and I, like a lot of people. So my mother and I watched Lifetime. So watching that movie, and so there was a scene where it was a couple who, were hiring this midwife and her daughter to deliver the baby. They didn't want to go the traditional hospital route, but the husband had a home gym. And so they showed a shot of it, and so you could see about half of an Octane LX, a lateral trainer. And I saw that, and of course I recognized it. I didn't even leave it. It wasn't a head-on shot. It was a shot from the side. And I remember telling my mom, I said, hey mom, look, that's an Octane LX. I said, Edge Fitness has one of those. And I said, and guess what? It has a fan. I said, this is the first time I've ever been on an Octane LX, just in different gyms and stuff, where it actually has a fan. And I said, do you know how much I love that machine? And so I actually thought to myself, in that moment, his pre-core EFX been replaced by the Octane LX? But then I kind of rationalized and I said, well, you know what? Because all the locations I've been to haven't afforded or used the Octane LX trainer, have not had a fan. So it's not like the fans are universal. So I can't declare officially yet that it has been dethroned. But I can definitely tell you I'm loving it. I'm loving it at Edge Fitness. It has a fan. This is wonderful. And so folks, but once again, what was I talking about and what was I thinking about in Louisiana? What facility did I mention? All right, so see, that is the power of engagement. When your members are in a different state or when they're in a different country or whatever the case may be, the key is, how do you not lose them? How do they not lose interest? All right, how do they not just realize, okay, I'm disconnected, I have no need for this membership, let me cancel. It's all about engagement. And so, folks, lastly, I want to close. We know that it's been since the COVID hit, gym reopenings and guidelines and things like that being lifted and all of that. Just a cool time, just an exciting time for many. And as you can see, I've got my little button here that says that I got the COVID vaccine here at the University of Michigan Health System, also known as Michigan Medicine. And so I got back on the 13th of May, and I had my shot at 8:20, at 8:20 appointment that following morning. So I had my first dose, go back for my second dose on 8 a.m. on June 11th. And so until such time, I will be wearing, according to the Edge Fitness guidelines, I will be masked up until June 11th when I get my second dose. I'm happy to do it. Again, adversity. What are we willing to go through to remain committed to our fitness? And for me, and I know people have different opinions on this, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I'm just telling you what I'm doing. I'm honoring what leadership has decided for Edge Fitness. I would do it at any facility. All right, I'm honoring what they've decided to do, their decisions. I'm honoring my fellow members. I'm waiting in that mask, considering all the different things I've been through on my fitness journey, the adversity I've overcome. That mask issue is small. The mask issue for me personally is small. And so Rebuilding Sergeant Peck, folks. So a wonderful book, And yes, I got it at Dollar Tree. See, you have to understand, yes, I love Dollar Tree, but one of the reasons why I love Dollar Tree, and I've been to a number of them across the country. Some people have tourists, different activities. Yes, I have those in different cities that I like to go to and check out, but Dollar Tree's always on my list because they have a wonderful selection of books, folks. If you didn't know that, they have a great, particularly inspirational books and just have been remarkable in finds in terms of books for me. So Sergeant Peck here, a Marine veteran who served and was injured, is a quadriplegic. And so just talks about his overcoming adversities and hardships and all of that. So I want to leave you with some reading from his book that really gets to heart to what many people have been through in the last year on their fitness journey, in fitness leadership roles, various aspects of the fitness industry, but life in general, on a personal note, relationally, just all of that. COVID has hit everyone in various ways. Now this book was published well before COVID, but adversity is adversity. All right, and so I want to share this with you. It's all part of the challenges I've had to endure all of my life, especially following both of my blast injuries. I've learned, mercifully through all this trauma and pain, to work through them, to take whatever life throws at you and overcome the obstacles. What other choice was there? I could succumb to the terrible life events by simply giving up. I could become that fearful, anxious kid that the mean cop Adam could have created. I might go from angry kid to angry adult thanks to my father Mike's abandonment. I could forget the Marines after my first blast, or resign myself to life as a lonely, painful quadruple amputee. I guess I'm just not wired that way. Through the incredible ups and downs of my life, there's always been that core will that survives, that never gives up no matter the obstacle, that simply will not quit. It's that tenacity and stubbornness that has helped me navigate the tumultuous life I faced. It's a curious thing that even though I've been through hell and back, there is a part of me that is thankful for that experience. I've gone through it all and come out a better person on the other side. At least I hope I did. So folks, let's all draw strength, encouragement, and inspiration here from Sergeant Peck, who overcame so much in his life. That was just a little snippet. All right, pre-COVID and yes, during COVID and post-COVID, yes, there's going to be challenges, there's going to be adversities, there's going to be struggles, there's going to be hardships, there's going to be obstacles. But we have to make a decision. Do we give up, or do we keep on keeping on and persevere? Do we allow, lastly, I want to leave this with you, do we allow our experiences to make us better or bitter human beings. The choice is ours. The choice is yours. And I just hope that you'll make the right choice, folks. So that is all I have for you today. Recapping my 27th fitness anniversary in the last few months, several months actually here, post-COVID, or post when COVID really started to hit, kind of like the post period of where things had the gyms closed, post gym closures, I should say, and how that's all played out, folks. But we have a decision to make. Make the right decision. Make the right decision. Yes, COVID has been hard. COVID has been difficult. COVID is altering our lives in many cases in alterable ways, right, folks? But we have a decision that can allow us. We should allow it to make us better people. The new paths that we may have been put on, the new discoveries, the innovation, the changes being tested really pushes us like nothing else. So we have to embrace that, because guess what? We're going to be tested anyway. We just have to make a decision how we're going to respond to it. Do we fold up our tent and go home, or do we keep on keeping on, folks? So I cannot wait until next week when I discuss some fitness trends. Some things came up and some have certainly happened. Things were always changing in the fitness industry. But when things happen, I want to recap them on a Fitness Friday Positives fitness trends episode. And then after that, going to go back to sales, discuss some additional sales topics that I'm sure you'll find useful, folks. But until then, I cannot wait. I can't wait. I can't wait. So stay tuned. But until then, remember, I am positively passionate about your fitness, leadership, and success. Make it a wonderfully fit day.